Hello, highly sensitive person, and welcome to this week's episode of the Highly Sensitive Club. I am very excited about my guest this week because Ken is very dynamic, quite the firecracker, and lots of stories to share. Ken, I'm going to pass it right to you to tell us about you and your business and what brought you on the podcast today.
My name is Ken Krell, Krell, and I'm currently talking to you from Sydney in Australia. I'm a digital nomad. I left the United States in 2009 during what they call here the GFC, the global financial crisis. And I've been pretty much an expat ever since. I'm happy to be outside of the craziness that is the United States. And it was crazy then, not even how it is right now. I traveled the world. I've been training people on how to invest in real estate, how to do business online. I'm pretty much a marketing strategist. I think the big thing here is making the world my playground and helping people now become location independent so that they can live their best, most fundamentally free lives and to a large extent live the fantasy, but also recognize that there are wonderful people all over the world. And so much of the fear that we are hearing about from sensational media is not necessarily true. Some of it really is, but a lot of it is much more than I've ever experienced. Having been in Thailand, for example, during the coup a few years back, um, I was never afraid. And it was almost like a party because the streets were closed and there were more vendors out selling food and so on. Serious situation with the government being taken over. But from a third party looking outside, we weren't seeing tanks going down the street. We weren't seeing people being shot. It was not that. It was getting a different perspective of the world, being in Cambodia and seeing 5 and 6-year-old kids just smiling and waving as we went down the street, seeing just raw happiness where we weren't needing the drugs that Americans take to stay happy. It's really an interesting way of looking at the world, and it makes the world a much smaller place when you can recognize that we're all the same and that there's very little difference in who we are. People are still loving, afraid, caring, and I look at the world as a place that really helps us rather than hurts us.
I agree. As someone who loves to travel, it has been my dream to be a digital nomad for a long time. So I definitely admire what you are doing. And I'm curious too, because you said you decided to head out into the world during the financial crisis.
Yeah.
What was it that made you inspired to become a digital nomad and helped you feel like it was realistic and something that you could actually do instead of just a dream for the future?
Most things tend to happen by default. When I left the States, I had millions of dollars involved in real estate investments overseas. When the crash hit, all that stuff went away. The cascading properties that lost their value and loans being more than the properties were worth, and investors were suing me. It was bad. Um, and I ended up declaring bankruptcy. As all this was going on, my best friend had just come back from Thailand and he said, you should go to Bangkok and just be there for a few months. You do business online anyway, so you can be wherever you want. Just get out of the US and get out of the drama. 3 minutes to say yes, packed a bag, went to Bangkok for about 6 weeks, and then came back, packed everything up and left. It was just much easier to live on a smaller budget. And at that point, my income was shot because I had lost all this money with real estate, which usually you never do. But in this case, it was pretty bad. I was able to live for a fraction of what the normal cost would be. And again, having a location independent business where I was doing online work allowed me to be anywhere. People think it's going to cost a lot of money. I was in Cambodia for about a week and I was living in a wonderful little hotel paying $7 per night. Stephanie, it had, listen to this, private room with bath, air conditioning, with free breakfast and Wi-Fi.
Wow.
Uh-huh. So for people that are like, I can't afford it, it's much more doable than you think. And yes, if you want to live in a 5-star hotel, you'll pay 5-star prices, but you can navigate this incredibly inexpensively. I've stayed in hostels with my mother. She's 91 right now, but when she'll stay at a hostel today, she doesn't care. I found that hostels, while they're much less expensive, are efficient and you meet a lot of really cool people there and learn about the community. There's explorers at these hostels. They're not just people that are going to a concierge desk. These are people that are actually in the neighborhoods, learning and experiencing, and typically they're younger, but we found a lot of people that are of age, vintage, if you want to call them that are traveling the world on a budget. You're there to travel and explore and not to be in a hotel because people throw so much money away on hotels. The purpose of a hotel is to stay and sleep, unless you're going to go to a resort get yourself a bed wherever it's going to be, where the sheets are clean, and stay. It's why people are backpackers, because they can travel the world. People are leaving school, they take a gap year, they can travel for cheap because they're going with a backpack. I'm on another world tour, if you will, and I don't know if it's here. I've got a regular backpack that my computer goes in, and a rollerboard that goes into the overhead on the airplane. That's it. I don't have any checked baggage. The idea is just to go. I was on a trek in Nepal. I met a woman in her 60s, 70s. She traveled with a backpack that was less than her body weight. I mean, just really, really light. And she said, the reason why I go with only this, no rolling suitcase, nothing, because if I need to run for a bus or a train or whatever, I can just go. There's nothing holding me back. I'm not pulling these big things of luggage. Walking on the streets of Sydney, I see people just carrying these giant suitcases. I'm like, what the hell do you need all this stuff for? Um, and yes, I'm a guy, so I travel with much less. I don't have all the, the women stuff, but this is a woman. She'd use things for different purposes. And I even shot a video of how she packs. So the mysteriousness of, can I do it? Is it for me? Can I afford it? Is something that is really more based up here than in reality, the way I see it. Your biggest expense will be the physical travel, whether it be the air ticket or whatever. And short of getting to Australia, travel to Europe is inexpensive. Take the train. You can take the train in the United States. They even have buses. Oh my God. Don't tell your friends because they'll look down on you. But the fact is you can travel pretty inexpensively. Actually, as a student traveling like from Boston to New York, take this express bus. It's like what, $19 or something? It's stupid. How do they make money on that? I don't know. But that's the way to go. I'm a public transportation guy. In Colombia, I'll Uber because it's cheap to do. But, I avoid all that stuff because if there's a way to take the bus for less, I'm going to do it. Aside from being environmentally, nice, let's face it, I'm cheap. I'd rather put money in other places that make money for me rather than spending it, unless, again, timing or it's raining or whatever else. I'm practical. My mom taught me that, so blame her. In the US, for example, unless you're in a city like Philadelphia or New York, public transportation is part of the norm. People may look at you weird, like, what do you mean you're taking the bus? That's only for the homeless. No, it's for people that are smart fiscally. It's $1. It's $1 to take the bus from when my mom is in Miami to Fort Lauderdale. $1. What's it going to cost to use your own car? It's a very different mindset the way I run my life, but it allows me to run my life in a really portable way.
So someone else gave you the idea to go to Thailand. It's super
Yep.
cheap. You were already working digitally anyway.
Yep.
And you told me a story about meeting someone and inspiring them to do the same, which sounds like how PrideNomad started.
PrideNomad started because I didn't want to be single anymore. Honest to God, I'm still single, unfortunately. So if you're watching,
Ken's looking.
bear this in mind. There's always a purpose. For me to find the person of my compatibility, it wasn't going to be somebody who wouldn't travel. It wasn't going to be somebody that couldn't travel. It needed to be somebody who does live a location independent type of lifestyle. Whether they're traveling or not is insignificant at the moment, but could travel. Someone that's stuck in a teaching job in Peoria isn't going to be able to just up and leave and take a year off or take 3 weeks to go explore or hike or whatever. Wanted someone who could live that style. If you're going to go fish where the fish are. So I created the environment where my subscribers, one of them or more, could be an eligible bachelor for me. That was really what the mindset was. And then a friend of mine was like, you got a really significant business opportunity here, kiddo. At which point it was like, yeah, maybe I do. And turns out I do. But that was the original impetus for it. It was the idea that I'm creating a community that vibes with who I am and what I do. And that's been pretty fun.
What was the first thing that you did to get it started?
I've been doing content stuff for years. I was a real estate columnist in Philadelphia way back before content marketing became a thing. And it fed me. And so when I started hearing about the idea of an online newsletter, and we've all been getting stuff in the email forever, but I never thought about it for me. I was like, this is a way to deliver that. This is a really smart way to do that. And yes, I could sell advertising, but it would be a great way to build a community. And that's what happened. It comes out every Tuesday now. It comes out free. Go to PrideNomad.com. I always wear my branding. No matter where I am, there's always a Pride Nomad shirt on my body with the QR code. I've been stopped at airports, not from security, but like, can I scan you? Yes, please. That's why it's here. That's how it began, the idea of that. Then came the Pride Nomad Unleashed podcast, the YouTube channel, our directory, Pride Nomad Hub. We have Pride Nomad Concierge, where we have deep dives on different cities so people can, map out their itineraries and have LGBTQ plus friendly places to go so that they feel at home. We're talking about being sensitive and so on. We want to be in a place where we feel comfortable, where we don't feel we're on eggshells, where we can hug somebody, hold them, kiss them, whatever it is, not overdo it, certainly read the room, but be who we are and not feel uncomfortable. For so many of us in the LGBTQ plus, AKA queer community, or the gay community, as I've always known it to be, having that element of comfort has been something that's been missing in our lives. Straight people can do whatever they want because they're the norm. But the minute you're not the norm in whatever fashion, we're always being judged. And there's those that don't seem to have that gene, but I'm one of those people that seems to like approval. And I don't want someone to look at me with that look or judge me, unless they're judging me about how fabulous I am. Then I'm okay with that, which is 100% true, of course, probably for all of us. We need to be in a place where we do feel comfortable and accepted. I'll give you an example. A few years ago, World Pride was held in Sydney, and it was just held in Washington, D.C. this past year, which was an interesting time to have it. But the entire city of Sydney, I was there, was one giant rainbow. It was amazing. One of the hotels, the entire front of the building was painted in a rainbow flag all the way, the whole building. There were flags all over the street, city flags that were that way. It brought in, millions of dollars of revenue, but Sydney is a very gay-friendly city. All over the place, all the businesses had rainbow flags everywhere. Now, certainly some of it was politically correct, but it was also pretty sincere. Sydney Harbor Bridge was closed down for a march, and the Lord Mayor walked across it. Mardi Gras was a big thing, like 300,000 people participate in Sydney Mardi Gras. It's so much fun. It's so much fun. I volunteered in it for years. The Prime Minister walked in Mardi Gras. I shook his hand. It was pretty cool. First time the Prime Minister actually ever walked in the Mardi Gras parade. Where else do you find that? That gives you an incredible feeling of greatness. Nymphia Wind won RuPaul's Drag Race, I guess, this past year. And the president of Taiwan invited her to perform at the presidential palace. Every time I talk about it, I tend to get choked up a little bit because where in the world do you find acceptance like that at the highest levels? That's cool. Versus going to like Uganda where they'll kill you, or going to the UAE where unless you're in Dubai, they'll kill you, or Indonesia where unless you go to Bali, they'll kill you. There's different ways to live. So to have baked into their culture a level of acceptance, it's a wonderful feeling. It's really great. Uruguay, first country in South America to legalize gay marriage. It doesn't mean everyone's going to say, yay, we'll be, there's still people that are very wrapped up in their own belief systems and are judging. But on the whole, if you've got protections built in, that's a lot. I was talking to someone earlier today with the Stockholm Tourist Board, and I think it was like 1946 or something that they instituted legal gay marriage or something along those lines. I may get the facts wrong, but I remember it was like in the 1940s. So thank you, Sweden. That was off my radar. So I think that's really important. And for those of us that are in a level of sensitivity, we don't need to make breakthroughs. We don't need to go to places and change minds. We can go to places that are happy to have us. And if you want to try new places, that's fine. We get this conversation a lot. Should I go to places that are anti-gay? And the answer that I have typically is yes, if you're being safe. If you're, again, reading the room, don't run around with rainbow flags and do things that are going to attract the wrong kind of attention. Go with the idea of representing your community and your country and let people know that you're not a threat. Show them and demonstrate to them that the non-gay friendly laws, rules, and propaganda are not true, and that you're more fun, better dressed, play better music, dance better, except for me, and that we're fun. To that end, we create peace because travel creates peace, the way I see it. But they don't like us. We shouldn't go. Yeah, maybe not, but there's gay people there. They need support. If we go from that standpoint of we're there to help change minds, it's important. That's the political side. I don't think I need to be an activist all the time. It's not where I want to be. But I think if we do it in a way that's letting people slowly accept us, you got to meet people where they are. And so often people that are trying to change things quickly are not willing to accept that. And that's where we get the friction. Water boils slowly. I didn't plan on getting political here, but we're purposeful as we travel.
100%. What you said about both queer folks and for highly sensitive folks, that comfort in your environment is very, very important, especially if you have an overlap and you're both queer and highly sensitive. So
Oh,
I
yeah,
love that
yeah,
you provide that resource for people to find that comfort and to be able to, as far as high sensitivity is concerned, be able to imagine yourself in those spaces and know that you could be safe and you can do it in a way that is not hostile towards you. That's really important.
yeah. We're all sensitive in so many ways, even those that don't qualify themselves as highly sensitive. I think we need to acknowledge that, and it's okay. Like, we don't need to judge that. The cool thing, though, is that as we travel, we do get to experience so many new things and open ourselves up to more experiences and then become a little bit more hardy as humans.
You've mentioned a few themes around travel that I find really interesting, particularly for highly sensitive people who are interested in meaning and depth. You mentioned connection, that all humans experience happiness and fear and sadness, that there's a universality to it. You mentioned peace. And I'm hearing you say
Okay.
that travel builds resilience because it takes you out of
Yeah.
your comfort bubble and helps you become more open to other perspectives, other experiences, and not having to be so comfortable and so precious about things all the time.
Yeah. You're right. I did say that, didn't I? How about that? I'm pretty smart. Um,
You are.
when you miss a train, you miss a flight, or my iPhone was stolen in Colombia. Um, yeah. Now, now this wasn't about Colombia. It was about someone who wanted it more than me, apparently. And pickpockets happened are everywhere. I mean, I was in Medellin, and Medellin actually has a lower crime rate than Houston statistically. So it's not about Colombia. It's about me not necessarily being as protective as I could be. But how did I manage that? How did I deal with that situation that could have destroyed my entire trip? Luckily, I had a backup phone. I teach that now. And I travel with a second phone for my teleprompter when I'm doing videos. I also had Apple Care Plus, which I didn't know had theft insurance built in. So 4 days later, I had a phone. But the experience of being stolen from and violating my personal space, and they were so good. It was so fast. If you want to admire someone for their prowess, it was pretty smart. It could have destroyed my trip. Here's the thing. What saved it, aside from like, okay, Ken, you have to set an example. You can't just and leave. What saved it was people I'd met on the line at immigration who befriended me. And they just happened to be walking down the street, saw me and said hello and held on to me. But if I hadn't been open to talking to them on the immigration line and getting out of my own self, my shyness, and people that know me, like, how can you be shy? Yes, I am. But when you're on a line with these other people, it's an hour long. We're sharing ideas about what to do when we get to Colombia and all this business. It's about getting out of yourself and getting out of the norm and recognizing you can survive this. Now it's a story I can tell. Once I got past that, oh crap, this was a mess at the beginning of my relationship with this country, I fell in love with Colombia. I really enjoyed myself after I got through the brain conversation. And this goes on far too much, I think, for a lot of us. We just have to get out of this, get into the experience, and recognize shit happens everywhere. It will happen. I mean, at some point, something is going to be borrowed by somebody. You're going to do something that's just ignorant, or you'll be distracted. Whatever, it happens as part of the journey. And if we recognize that and go, okay, my turn. Not the first time a phone got stolen from me. It happened once in the Philippines. Really smart kid that took it. It was just a normal play that they do. I actually admired him from the standpoint of that was pretty creative. What are you going to do? It's not the end of the world. You still have your health. No one took your body away from you. It's a phone. These are replaceable. If you backed it up, you didn't lose anything. You have to keep things in perspective. It's a blip. That was a blip. It messed up my day, but it didn't mess up my health. It didn't mess up my trip. It messed up a day. Missing a flight, maybe, just maybe, that was the best blessing of all, because the person that you'll be on the next flight with that you'll meet could be the person that changes your entire life. What if the person sitting next to you on the other flight would have been smelly or obnoxious or would have talked your ear off? You just never know. I would ask people in my classes years ago when I was teaching real estate, I would tell them something and say, is it a good thing or a bad thing? They'd vote. And I'd say, no, it's a thing. It's whatever value you choose to place on it. For example, if you didn't get a job, right, and you're miserable, I wanted that job. Well, what if the job really would have sucked? Without getting all spiritual here, there seems to be some kind of master life plan out there. Call it whatever you want. Call it the universe. And I think there's like no accidents. Magic stuff happens if you keep yourself open to it. If we keep that faith that it's going to be okay, guess what? It'll be
It
okay.
is. Hmm.
Yeah. Those that think it's always going to turn to shit, guess what? So I think maintaining that mindset is the way. And listen, we're all going to have lousy days. Yesterday morning, I was so depressed. Ugh. Um, and I talked myself through it. I journaled. I took action on things I needed to take action on, and very quickly it changed. We're going to have that as highly sensitive people. We may have more of it, but if the underlying belief is that the world is an abundant place with great people that can help us, guess what? It's going to provide. I was in Myanmar, oh gosh, 15, 16, whatever, many years ago. And back then, they didn't have ATMs. The way you transacted was with crisp US dollars. And you had to go to the bank to get crisp US dollars. If you ran out of money, you were screwed. Well, guess what? I was there on my last night. I ran out of money. I was at the airport. The airport closed in the middle of the night, so I couldn't just sit in the airport, which is what I planned to do. It was pouring down rain, so I couldn't just stand outside the airport. The airport hotel didn't take credit cards. I mean, it was a serious situation. Guess what? The airport paid for the hotel, paid for the taxi back to the airport in the morning because I was nice. I wasn't being a jerk about anything. And they saw a traveler in distress. I tell that story all the time. At Avis Rent-A-Car decades ago, I didn't have my driver's license. I either lost it or left it at home or whatever it was. And I'm like, how do we get to my destination? Oh, don't worry, we'll take you. We have cars for emergencies. We'll take you. I'm like, holy shit. The kindness of strangers, it's true. If you're nice, they'll be nice back to you. And yes, there's jerks out there. They're having a bad day and whatever. But inevitably, there's always someone there that's going to look after you. So if you have that mindset, the world's always going to be a friendly place.
That's so beautiful. I also believe in synchronicities, not coincidences. And the way that you show up to people and to situations definitely makes a difference. But when you look for opportunities, they usually show up.
It's really true. There are so many amazing people out there who are looking to be nice. And mind you, give it back as well. If you see someone on the street looking at their phone, trying to figure out where the hell they're going, ask them, where are you trying to go to? How can I help you? I do that all the time. I used to make it a thing on the beach. If I saw trash on the beach, I'd always pick up trash on the way off. I'd pick something up and take it away because it's the right thing to do. I feel good about it. And it also validates that I'm not a jerk, that I'm doing something nice. Validates my vision of myself. When I was living in Phoenix, I would climb Squaw Peak at sunrise on the weekend mornings. And I would always make it a point to say good morning as people were coming down. Some people responded, some people didn't. But it was always, if I can put a smile on their face, maybe they'll put a smile on someone else's face. Maybe they're having a lousy day and they're contemplating doing stupid shit. And maybe they needed one person to smile at them. In Thailand, typically when you see someone on the street, you bow to them. It's part of the culture. So the more we do that, I think the more it comes back. And opportunities will show their way. People will give you hints and tips and strategies and share their food with you. My 40th birthday, this was just last week. I wish. I was in San Diego by myself. And I was going to go hang gliding, but I couldn't because there was too much wind. The concierge at the hotel said, go to the wineries. There's wineries in Southern California. I did not know that. So I went on a little wine tour and I get to this one winery. And out front, there's a giant white limo. And I'm like, oh, how obnoxious is this? This is just, I was being a dick. Let's face it. That's a technical term. So I go in and they sit me down to do the wine tasting at this big, long table by myself. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm here with myself. And the next thing I know, this whole giant group sits down next to me. They're celebrating somebody's birthday. And they're having a great time. It was my birthday too. And they're including me now in the whole thing. And it was wonderful. They said, hey, we have a limo out front. Want to come hang out with us for the day? They weren't assholes. They were the best people ever. I had the best 40th birthday ever. So A, don't judge. And B, be open to letting people adopt you. It's now been a lot of years later. And I still remember that day like it was yesterday. It was amazing. That happens if you keep yourself open to it.
What has been your most moving experience or connection, especially an unexpected one, while you've been traveling?
God, boy, most moving one. In Cambodia, riding down the street in a tuk-tuk, seeing a 5-year-old child, a few of them, just waving and smiling with an incredible amount of joy that always just melts me. It's those things. Having the best burger of my life in Colombia a few weeks back. I don't usually go to a restaurant and have a burger, but the owner of the restaurant, who I've met online, restaurant's probably the size of this little room I'm in right now, like 6 tables. He said, try my burger. And I did. Oh my God. And the French fries were literally a work of art, like thinly sliced pieces of potato, elegantly glued together and deep fried. And it's definitely worth the 5 hour drive from Medellin just to have this meal. Amazing. It's those things. It's those little things, but they're big things. Even the gym that I would go to in Lisbon that has a swimming pool, Pilates classes, and so on, all done in Portuguese, by the way. So like you don't understand what the hell they're saying, but they would try to speak English to be nice to me, to help me. Those things, right? And the kindness of strangers every time there's someone that does something nice. It's amazing.
I love those little moments adding up to big things. And I was going to ask, is there a commonality that you see in people everywhere you go, or is it the kindness that you were talking about?
I think people inherently are kind. And yes, I'm going to be suspect in a lot of cases because I've been in places where people are wanting to take advantage of tourist visitors and so on. But I'll give you another one. I was on the street in Colombia maybe a month or so ago, and my first trip there, and they had some street food, which I love street food. So there's a vendor doing shawarma, and he's like, "I make the best one." They like Americans, and so they want to talk to me about stuff. They're amused and amazed, and they're just kind. Try this, try this. I'll sometimes feel insecure because I don't know the language. I'm not sure what I'm doing. I feel like maybe I'm being judged because I'm a stupid tourist. But here's the thing. There is a lot of pushback on tourism right now in a lot of parts of the world, Barcelona, other parts of Spain, and so on. My sense is that a number of tourists out there are acting like they're entitled. I think we need to remember, and as highly sensitive people, I think we do, that we're guests in their country. And we need to respect them and recognize that we are truly guests in their home. If we honor that and treat them that way, they'll be nice to us. The French. I love the French. In fact, I never learned Spanish in high school. I learned French because I love the language. So many people have told me that they're rude and all this business. Bullshit. They're wonderful. Here's my experience. Because I love the language, because I love the country, because I love the food. When I'm there in a consciousness of joy and respect and admiration. And yeah, they laugh at me, but they laugh with me when I'm trying to conjugate a verb or, get a word right. They're like, and then they'll teach me. That's the cool thing. They're with me, not against me. Yet there's other people, Americans in most cases, that are entitled. Well, I'm from, bullshit. You're guests in their country. So I think if we take that approach, people will always be interested in us. And again, there's always the exceptions. People are having a bad day, or there are people that are just, not necessarily nice. But I don't look for them. I look for the ones that are. And inevitably I find them or they find me. That's really the bottom line for it. The world is a big place. There's all sorts of options. I didn't think that I would fall in love with Australia the way I did, but I want to spend the rest of my life here. Now, I've got an immigration issue with that. I'll visit as much as they'll let me. I'll keep talking about how great the country is, so maybe they'll let me stay here. Going to where you feel at home is the most important thing, wherever that may be. And then keep trying new things, keep experiencing, exploring new things. And some things you're not going to like. Same thing like going to the theater or a movie or something. But here's the other thing. I'm going to give people permission now. If you go to the theater or if you go to a movie or something and you don't like it, guess what you should do? Get up and leave. Now, don't like walk right in front of the actor or something. Be cool about it. But it's at halftime. Get out. Life's too short to sit and you paid for a ticket. If you're not enjoying yourself for whatever reason it is, go. I've walked out of many performances over time because I wasn't enjoying myself. Well, why stand on ceremony? Go do something that you can enjoy better. They wouldn't want you there either. It's not about being in this place of should. It's about being in the place of enjoyment. And I'll tell you something else. When you go to a restaurant, ask people. Yeah, I even look at people on the table next to me. How's that? Is it good? They love telling you. And you may find something that you never even thought about. Waiters and waitresses, if you ask them what's great, they'll tell you in most cases. So don't be afraid to ask people's advice, opinions, and so on, because they're not going to bite your head off. Some of them may be having a bad day, but typically they'll be like, here, do this. Ask. Don't be shy. I think getting you outside of your comfort zone, especially when you're in a travel situation, may make it easier for you to bigger than who you think you are.
Very sound advice. I'm
Oh,
curious for
yeah.
someone who has never left the country or who is kind of a novice traveler.
Mm.
How would you help them get started?
Great question. Someone gave me this wonderful advice when I was considering going to Asia because I'd never been to Asia. I'd never had any desire to go to Asia. And a friend of mine said, go to Singapore. It's the most American Western part of Asia you'll ever go to. Go there and get your feet wet. And I did. And it was great. They speak English in Singapore. I mean, you've got all the Asian culture as well. It was an easy transition. If you're concerned about travel and what's going to make you feel more comfortable, go someplace that you feel an attraction to. For Asia, Singapore, even Thailand. I never learned Thai. I got like 10 words in in Thai that I speak. And I got by for 10 years. So, the idea that you must know the language, you know what? Apple just released AirPods that translate. Now, I want to talk to Apple and see if they'll send me a review copy because that's amazing. Google Translate on your phone works great. In Colombia, for example, you really do want to learn some Spanish, but you can still get by. I got by. But if you learn the language a bit, it does help. Now, with all these translation tools, it's a lot easier. So, okay, first place to go, Canada. They speak English. Go to the UK, go to Australia, New Zealand, other parts of Europe where English is common. Go there because at least that way you don't have the language insecurity. If you're going to go to other places where you can't even read the street signs because they're in symbols, like in Nepal, for example, or even in Thailand, like, what the hell is that? It looks like cartoon characters. How do they even read that? I've had that level of discomfort in Thailand, like food I didn't understand. I wouldn't even know how to ask, what the hell is that? So go someplace that's a bit more Western to dip your toe and then expand from there. People get all freaked out about travel. Here's the thing. You get in your car or your Uber or whatever, you go to this building, you go through security like you're going into a bank somewhere. You walk through this little tube into this bigger tube, then you sit for a few hours, and then when you get off, you're in another country. It's that simple. You got to think about it that way. I was amazed when I first went to Australia. I flew from, I think, Fort Lauderdale to Houston, and then when Houston, I guess, to Sydney. And I was like, holy shit, I'm in another country. And I'm still tickled. The other day, I was walking by the Sydney Opera House, and I'm like, holy shit, I'm at the Sydney Opera House. And it's just like normal for me. And it's one of the most iconic buildings in the world. I'm like, oh my God, that's the coolness of it. It can feel as normal as that. And it should. Like, oh my God, this is the Eiffel Tower. Yeah. You took a plane. That's it. London. You fly your butt to London, 6 hour flight or whatever from New York. You get off at Heathrow. You walk your ass off to get from Terminal 2 to the tube. And then an hour later, you're in the middle of Piccadilly Square. It's that cool. And I love London. I mean, it's not a cheap place to be, but I love London. And if you like theater, you'll love London. Think about the history that you can experience. Like, oh my God, that's Big Ben. There's all sorts of free museums and things. And I'd say go for a weekend, but that's a stretch. But there's cheap airlines now you can play with. So don't deny yourself. Really, the world is a playground. Do a safari in Africa. I read a book years ago. I think it was Dennis Waitley that wrote it about his experience going on safari and how small he felt compared to the majesty of these animals who live their lives and just run and do their thing. And yes, there's cruelness in nature, but the majesty of the elephants and of the antelope and of, the zebras and so on is like, he's just like, I'm just a little mere mortal and this magic experience is out there. So I was encouraged and inspired to go to Africa. And I think everyone should do it. But unless you get on a plane, you're not going to get there. You know, are you going to talk about it or are you going to live it? Are you going to watch someone else's experience and listen to me? You're going to go do it yourself. I'm happy to help you. That's why I write the newsletter and what we do. Go and experience and do. There's a guy named Rick Steves that my mom watches every week. He's been traveling for years. And he's got great information. Going afraid means you haven't done the homework. And I'll tell you, Stephanie, now I don't even do the work. I just go. That's what I did in Colombia. I thought I would study up on it the day before I was traveling. And literally, I get a text message the day before my flight. Your flight leaves in 4 hours. What do you mean it leaves in 4 hours? That can't be right. It left in 4 hours. I had it in my calendar the wrong day. I thought I was leaving on Friday, but really I was leaving on Thursday. I know. Luckily, I was close enough to where I was staying. I was threw everything in a bag and raced to the airport a day before I thought I was going to go. So prepare a little bit of preparation, but it was okay. It was still okay. We all have mobile phones. We all have smartphones. You can do your research on a smartphone. Google translates there. I have ChatGPT on my phone. I ask AI everything. I was finding restaurants with ChatGPT. Hotel concierges, if you ask them to tell you about the real places, not the places that they get a commission for, but the real places that locals go to, you'll go to some incredible places to eat and to see and to do. First thing I always tell people to do, my mom taught me this, take a city tour. There's a lot of free tours. You pay a gratuity. So they're not really free, but there's no charge for them ostensibly. Take a city tour because that way you'll get the lay of the land, you'll get a perspective, and you'll understand a bit about the culture. It takes away so much uncertainty. And that, again, if you're highly sensitive, will allow you to feel comfortable that you have a grounding place. You get some of the insider information. They'll tell you stuff that's not on a guidebook. I recommend those all the time.
Excellent tips to get started. So, if someone does want to learn from you, find out more, get involved, what do they do?
They go here. They go to PrideNomad.com. The newsletter comes out for free every Tuesday in American time because it's Wednesday here in Australia. And it's filled with all sorts of cool stuff. It's all real experience, whether it be mine or somebody else's. And we cover all sorts of things. I've got a YouTube channel. We're building the Pride Nomad Hub. While yes, my audience is typically LGBTQ plus, everything that we have in there can relate to everybody because the needs of a traveler, the needs of the digital nomad, the needs of the highly sensitive, ultimately they're all the same. You want to travel safely. You want to travel with joy. You want to travel and have great new experiences. So it's for all of you. I'm not trying to turn anybody gay unless you're cute and single, and that's another conversation. By the way, some people don't like my humor, and my style isn't for everybody, nor is your style for everybody. But if it jives, if you like what you're hearing, you'll love the newsletter. My mom likes it. So there you go. She endorses it.
Endorsed by Ken's mom. Perfect.
That's it. That's it. She even writes for it sometimes too. And she travels with me a lot. We went to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival in August. And by the way, if you like theater, dance, cabaret, music, this is a life must. The month of August every year in Edinburgh, Scotland is the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, edfringe.com. It's like my favorite week of the year. I go now as a journalist. I report and I review some of these shows, but they're amazing. This year, 3,800 performances during that month. In 2026, it runs from the 7th of August to the 31st. It's so much fun. The entire city is a festival. Right now here in Sydney is the Sydney Fringe Festival. I'm seeing shows here every day, but Edinburgh is magic. And that's a good place to get started too, because guess what? They speak English. It's amazing. And they're like Americans. It can be expensive, but you can stay inexpensively. There's some Airbnbs you can stay inexpensively and so on if you plan it right. And the shows are inexpensive. There's 2-for-1 options. So yeah, it's a great thing to do. I had to throw that in there. I report on it. That's part of what we do in the newsletter. So yeah, it's a cool way to live.
Perfect. I will put all of that information in the show notes so that our viewers and listeners can find it very easily. And what is one thing that you would like to leave us with today before we hop off our conversation?
If you're feeling anything in your body right now, that's like, oh, this sounds like fun. I should do this. Then your body's already telling you go. You already know. If you're like, this was nothing special, then great. Stay where you are, do what you're doing. It serves you. But if you're feeling any element of longing or, well, that sounds cool, I should experience it, stop thinking about it and go book something. Don't book a trip thinking that it's going to be the only trip you ever do. Don't book it thinking that it's got any giant attachment to it, that being a digital nomad means I'm committed for the rest of my life. It's a phase for some people. They may travel for a few weeks or years or whatever it may be. But go on a trip for a couple weeks. Don't go for a few days and don't try and tick off a city like on a checklist. go and stay someplace for a few weeks. That way you'll get to know it. You'll get to experience the people. You'll get to know where they go for groceries, the cool places to hang out, not the tourist spots that everybody goes to that you'll pay 3 times the price for because you're a tourist, but go to the local places and meet people. When I was in Colombia recently, and I tend to reflect on the latest trips, I went to this coffee shop that I found with ChatGPT, and it was wonderful. I went there 3 days in a row because when I find a place that's good, I'll go back because I am a creature of habit in many cases. The owner knew me at that point, and I wasn't just a stranger. First day I was. Second day it was like, oh, you're back. Third day it was like, you're a buddy. That happens when you're there long enough. But if you're just popping in and popping out, you're never going to have that connection experience. And that matters because then you're part of the fabric of the community. So that's my recommendation to everybody. Go and stay for a bit. If you like it, come back. I've got so much more of Colombia to do. I was going to be in there for a month. I ended up cutting it short. But I still haven't been to Bogota, to Cali, to Cartagena. I got to go. The biggest challenge I have right now is so many places, so little time. I'm exploring. I'm having an incredible experience. Just go for it.
I love ending with that piece of advice. Don't overthink it. Don't make it too complicated. Just go, have fun, and stay there for enough time that you can build those connections and those memories and really enjoy the experience. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. I absolutely loved hearing your stories. So I know my audience will also enjoy this and be inspired and excited to try this for themselves. I so appreciate you being candid and humorous and charming and a delight to listen to and watch.
Oh, that was a great way for me to start my day. Thank you so much.
You are very welcome. Thank you so much for watching and listening this week, and we will see you on the next one.
Thanks for listening. If you're ready to take what you learned today to the next level, head over to Stephanie Linn, that's LINN.com, and book a consultation call to get started. I can't wait to see you there, my dear HSP.